Hey everyone, welcome back to Simply Legal. I'm clapping because you've made it this far into the channel. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers and I'm really joyful that we have built a community around Simply Legal. Well, straight to the point. Today we're talking to you about land law and particular land transactions. This has been something that people have been telling me to talk about, which can apply to the common man, people up there, and the middleman. This is a two-part video. It's going to entail two things. One, how to buy land in Uganda, and number two, how to protect that land once you bought it. Let's go. Number one, the person buying land must carry out what's called due diligence. What does this mean? In law, we have what's called a purchaser and we have a vendor. The vendor is someone who you're buying the land from. So you must carry out what's called due diligence, meaning you're going to do your own research on the land to see whether there are any issues concerning that land. The issues concerning that land could be what are called encumbrances. In law, we have what's called encumbrances, and this means that things which are stopping the land from being free to purchase it. So therefore, due diligence is basically me, Terry Kahuma, going to research on this land. Let's say it's charted on plot 17 this, on block this. So I'm going to carry out my own research and I'm going to see, does this land have any lease on it? Does it have a mortgage? Is it mortgaged land? I'll go into that one later. Basically, does it have anything that the previous owner could have put on it that is going to hinder you from buying it peacefully? Particulars of the land. Basically, in Simply Legal, we hope to simplify the law for you. In fact, we don't even hope, we love to simplify the law for you. So when I talk about particulars of the land, I mean, if you want to buy this land, what is it under? Is it under freehold or is it under leasehold? That is going to take me actually to my next point. When you look at the interest in land in Uganda, interest is basically what type of land are you trying to buy? In Uganda, under Article 237 of the Constitution, it basically provides for us the types of land tenure systems. One, we have customary landhold system. Then we have freehold land system, we have leasehold, and we have Milo land system. In Uganda, all of these four land systems are very essential for one to know if they want to buy land. Therefore, this brings me back to my particulars of the land point. We have either leasehold or freehold, because customary land, here in particular in Buganda, it's owned by the King of Uganda. Then we also have leasehold. A leasehold is something that you can easily lease your land to someone for a period of 49 years to 99 years. Under Article 237, it basically stipulates 4 land tenure systems. But particulars of the land, you're basically going to see, number one, if you're buying land under Milo land or freehold system, yes. Then, under particulars of the land, you would want to look at the certificate of title that someone is selling you, the vendor is selling you. When you look at the particulars of title, they are specific things that the certificate should have. Number one, they should have an encumbrance page. Meaning, in our previous point, this means that the page should be something that is free of anything, which is either a mortgage, it should be free of a lease, should be free of anything, should be free of the former ownership that someone had on that land. Now, if the particulars of the title, which is particulars of certificate of title, are there on the certificate of title, then that means that this title that you're going to buy, or this land you're going to buy, is totally free of any encumbrances. Let's go to number 3. You're going to go and do what's called a search. This is basically what was done in number 1, which is due diligence. You're basically carrying out a search. But in this step number 3, which is search, you're going deeper into the land. You're trying to find out the square miles. You're trying to find out the decimal points. Either originally, if in your mind you wanted to buy this land and it was 10 hectares or 10 acres, then you're going to have to go with a surveyor and your lawyer, who is counsel, which is yours truly. You will have to go and demarcate all of your parts of the land, meaning you want to put cornerstones, which are called landmark stones. That's number 3. Then number 4, you're going to want to find out whether the person you're buying from, who is the vendor, is a spouse of someone. Now, many of us on this channel are adults, I believe. Well, there might be a few children here and there, but many of us are adults. Many of us have spouses. Now, in law, spousal consent is taken extremely serious because when you look at the Land Act, actually the Land Amendment Act, spousal consent is stipulated under Section 38A and under Section 39. Spousal consent throughout common law and law here in Uganda means that you cannot carry out anything on any land which you bought within the marriage without first consulting your spouse. What does this mean? It means that your spouse must have the final signature on whether you want to sell land or on whether you want to deal in that land. This also means that spousal consent mainly applies to land which derives or which basically gives your family a living. Because the law came up with this because spousal consent has a very big bearing on whether a couple is going to transact with someone or not. Because in the past, many people used to carry out dealings on the actual land where his or her family is sitting on. And when you go back to check your certificate of title, you find out that, hey, your land was actually sold by your husband or by your wife. So therefore, this brings me to my next point. This means that spousal consent should first be done in a written form. It should be sent to the land board, and it should also be sent to you who is the purchaser. So therefore, spousal consent is extremely important, and this finally wraps up my fourth point. This one now is a three-part. It actually applies to the vendor who is selling the land, the purchaser, and also counsel. You're supposed to go with your surveyor, like I told you before. This one is actually similar to the third step I was telling you. You find out the decimals and really ascertain that this land that I bought is reflecting on the certificate of title. Meaning that if Kasimba John is selling to Terry Kahuma 10 hectares of land in Kalangala district, then if it reflects on the certificate of title, it should reflect in physical part. Meaning I should go put landmark stones, put cornerstones on my land, and be sure that with my surveyor he has measured that your land is exactly what they gave you. It's not more, it's not less, because there you now start getting issues with encroachment of land. We're now going to the two final steps, guys, but these ones are actually the most important, and these steps are actually what government needs from you. Now, when you are buying land, you don't necessarily think that it's just you and the vendor. It's not just purchase and vendor, it's actually government also involved. In this sixth step, I'm here to tell you that your lawyer should be able to tell you that, you know what, if you're buying the land, I would advise you that you should not buy land in an area which is not designated for the purpose which you want. This is very simple because I, as Terry Kahuma, could buy land in Kololo or in Naguru or Muyenga for residential purposes. And if I'm buying land in Muyenga, then the Physical Planning Authority and also NEMA, which is National Environment Authority, will come and say, okay, since this guy is buying land here, then that's okay. But now I cannot buy residential land in industrial area, which is Ogolovi, because if I do that, then that means that I'm going to be destroying the work or the purpose for which industrial area is there for. Likewise, if I'm buying land in Muyenga or if I'm buying land in Naguru, then I now can set up a factory in Muyenga or Naguru, because according to the Physical Planning Act and NEMA Act, which is National Environment Authority Act, I cannot put an industry in a residential area, because in Kampala district here or all over the world, urban development has it that certain areas are meant for certain designated things. For example, an industrial area is not meant for residential land or residential purposes. A residential area is not meant for industrial purposes. A farmland area is not meant for residential purposes or industrial purposes. Every area in terms of urban planning and even in law is meant for certain things. So therefore, your lawyer should be able to tell you that if you're trying to buy land here, industrial area for residential purposes, then my friend, this is not going to work out. This brings us to our second last point on how to buy land. I think I should stand up for this. When you're looking at this final step, I would like to tell you that still your lawyer should be able to advise you that your land should be befitting of the purpose. I would like to emphasize this point because many people have found themselves in many different struggles. You end up building in a forest area and yet it was designated for forestry. So all these steps come in to guide you in that by the time you fully buy your land, then that means that it's going to be encumbrance free, it's going to be put there for the right purpose. You have searched this land, you have done due diligence, you have looked through everything that is necessary for you to buy this land, and you've also completed the purchase. Now, the documents necessary for your purchase of land, you're going to also do what's called a sales agreement. The vendor is going to prepare for you a sales agreement, which is who is for you the purchaser. You're going to prepare a sales agreement and you're going to clearly stipulate that I, Kasimba John, I'm selling Terry Kahuma this land comprised in this area, and he's buying it for this purpose. Under the eyes of the law, the land is no longer mine. He has completed the purchase price and everything is done. It will be signed and commissioned. Guys, buying land in Uganda is extremely important, but many of us take these steps for granted. We take it like it's a given. But the moment any one of these steps go missing, then trust me, you're off. What I've just explained to you about third-party rights is extremely important, because once you go onto that land and you find that there are people who have been on that land before, may actually want to get rid of them. We have had cases, many cases, there may even be one in existence now, where someone is trying to buy land or has already bought land. They go there, they already find a squatter is on like half an acre of that land. Then they start arguing, they start fighting. When they go back to Uganda Land Board, they find out that they were already existing on that land. So people watching right now, you must be aware of what are called bona fide occupants. You must be aware of lawful occupants. You must be aware of squatters on the land. If someone has been on your land for 12 years and more, ever since the coming to force of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda in 1995, that means that they are supposed to be on that land. They have already established an existence there, and you cannot bounce them, or you cannot remove them from the land. Sorry for using the word bounce, but this is young people talk. So, what are interests in the land? I don't leave any stone unturned. Interests in the land are what are called rights that you have on the land. Now, we have what are called legal interests in land, and we have what are called equitable interests in the land. A legal interest is the fact that your right on that land, you have bought this piece of land in Muyenga, and you have a legally registered right on that land. So basically, legal interest means you have been a registered owner of that land. Legally, you've bought it, you've gone through due diligence, you've done everything, go through the steps. Equitable interest is a bit different, because it means that you don't have a legal interest in that land, but you might be a child of the owner of the land, you may be a beneficiary, you may be a nephew, you might have been put on the will, you might be a spouse of that property or land. So these are basically legal and equitable interests. I want you people to understand that. Now, the very final step is that you must be aware. You must actually appeal to National Environmental Authority, which is NEMA. You must establish that your land is not put in any wetland. You must be aware that it's illegal to actually build on a wetland, because you're going to end up like people in Boise actually. Let me first laugh a bit. People in Boise actually have issues because they built all of their houses on a wetland. Once you do that, you're going to have issues of flooding and you destroy the ecosystem. Congratulations, you made it the last part of this video. I'm very happy for all of us. You're now privileged to find out how to protect your land. In Uganda, there are very simple mechanisms and remedies on how to protect your land. Assuming you're now the registered owner of your land. Assuming that now there are no encumbrances, you bought your land, you paid the purchase price, you paid for everything. what are the final things you can do to protect your land in case of anything? There are many things which can make you protect your land. We have fraud. Someone can come and claim that, you know what, Kasimba John, I'm actually the registered owner of this land. You bought it without my notice. Therefore, if someone comes and claims for such cruel claims, then you can go to court and apply for yourself being called a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. Meaning, you carried out all the steps, you did everything that was necessary, but still someone has come to claim that they are the registered owner of this land. What you can do as a short-term remedy is to put and apply for a caveat. I did a video on what's called a caveat. I'll just put the link in the description below of that video of a caveat. A caveat is basically a document which will apply to court, which bars or stops any further dealing on your land until a further case is being proven in terms of fraud, in terms of encumbrances, in terms of anything else. So a caveat is what you can use to protect your land when you're finding out or when you're doing further investigations on this person who is claiming that I'm the registered owner of the land. Then, if this person also brings a certificate of title versus yours, you can apply to court under the Registration of Titles Act for cancellation of his title. Then, yeah, those are basically the two remedies that I would give you to protect your land. And you can also go to court seeking further injunctions. A caveat is a short-term injunction. Actually, it's a temporary injunction, but you can go and apply for a permanent injunction, still under the Registration of Titles Act. So, thank you so much for listening to me. I remain yours truly, Terry Kahuma, and we made it this far simply legal. We are going to greater heights, and the sky's the limit for our channel because many greater things are coming our way. More legal content is coming your way, and if there's anything you want to tell me in a future video, or something you want to tell me about a future video that you would like me to talk about, something you think I would have left out in this video, please let me know. Tell me what you liked about this video. Tell me whether you benefited from it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and our channel grows to greater heights. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.